The biggest star power main event in wrestling television history is set to headline the final Raw to WrestleMania 18, with the company giving away the match that could potentially headline any pay-per-view, as the TV headliner on the night to close the build-up on cable television and boost the final sell for the event in 6 days, with the match announced by Vince McMahon during the closing minutes of the live SmackDown broadcast last Thursday. Hyped huge in commercials throughout the weekend as the biggest match ever on Raw, on a loaded SmackDown show which saw the TV return of Rock after 2 weeks outselling the injury angle from the nWo truck attack, and one of the biggest main events in show history, with another all-time dream clash given away on television in the first ever Rock vs. Scott Hall match. With the live broadcast after positive early indications, with the show drawing a strong 5.6 overnight rating, putting it as one of the strongest numbers of the past year, with viewership targeted to be at record levels, taking an unexpected hit, with the show ending up being preempted in major markets to significantly limit its reach on network television, with UPN due to different sports coverage on Thursday night only airing the show in 78% of households across the country instead of the usual figure of over 90, resulting in the final number being way lower than expected, with a 3.4 rating and bad timing 10 days to WrestleMania, with the show which also featured Ric Flair's response to Taker to officially set up their WrestleMania match, peaking for the Hall vs. Rock main event with over 6.3 million viewers on a night that under normal circumstances would have guaranteed an additional 1.5 to 2 million viewers, to put it as one of the biggest audiences to watch a WWF broadcast since the peak of the boom period, with the company looking to rebound tonight with the blockbuster headliner on a show also set to set the stage for the talked-about roster split, with Vince McMahon and Ric Flair at WWF Headquarters for an emergency board of directors meeting to re-evaluate their positions as co-owners of the company in a show-long angle, with Raw after opening lower than the range of the past month with a 3.6 rating. Picking up in the second quarter, with Kurt Angle followed by Booker and Edge coming out to officially set up 2 more WrestleMania matches, with Angle after establishing himself as one of the top headliners in the company over the past year challenging Kane to book their match 6 days to the event. As with all the other top names already occupying different programs, Angle's rumored potential opponents varied from a program against the returning Ken Shamrock or Curt Hennig before settling on the Kane match, with the biggest planned potential match for Kurt that would have put him among the highest billing for the pay-per-view being a first-time ever match against Sting in his debut in the company, with Sting after already agreeing on terms with Vince McMahon in a phone call with him closer than ever to signing his first WWF contract and start the build-up to the Sting vs. Angle match. Sting's negotiations with the company fell through due to him not wanting to sign for a full-time road schedule at this point of his career, to lead to Angle and Kane being booked for the match on short notice. After setting it up in the earlier segment, Kurt Angle and Booker T vs. Edge and Big Show was set to open Raw's second hour to go 5 minutes, with Angle pinning Show for the finish, and with the first hour on the night getting a 400,000 viewers bump from last week to over 5.8 million viewers, in the year-on-year comparison to last year's go-home Raw to WrestleMania 17, which saw its first hour going up against the final Nitro broadcast between 9 to 10 p.m. Raw, which this year had the advantage of going unopposed without going head-to-head with the most-watched Nitro show in months, increased over 200,000 viewers from 5.6 in 2001 to 5.8 in 2002, in an encouraging sign for the WrestleMania 18 pay-per-view, after last year's event built around the Rock vs. Austin main event and WCW sale buzz broke all pay-per-view records in history, with the big year-on-year difference being the issue talked about in the past year, with the overall wrestling audience taking a hit without the separate WCW viewers, as the 9:45 to 10 p.m. quarter on March 26, 2001, which featured the all-time memorable simulcast promo, drew a combined viewership of over 10.4 million viewers, while this Monday in the same time slot featuring a Goldust vs. Snow Hardcore title match and the continuation of the two-show-long angles between McMahon and Flair and Triple H's dog, Raw drew 6.4 million viewers, which increased on last year's 6.1 million exclusively watching the Vince promo on the WWF Raw broadcast on TNN, meaning the company maintained its entire audience but have to convert more of them into pay-per-view buyers, with the overall pool of wrestling viewers significantly down since March 2001, with the company already looking ahead to the new reality of the brand split set to start in 2 weeks, with the advertising sent to cable companies on the April Backlash pay-per-view in the first show after the split, building up the Raw and SmackDown feud with Flair and McMahon each leading a brand. Raw's second hour, which driven by the huge main event drew the most watched 10 to 11 p.m. hour since the most watched Raw of the year on February 18 with over 6.3 million viewers, saw another WrestleMania match being officially set up, with Christian after breaking his losing streak against Billy Gunn thanks to Dallas Page's interference, turning on him post-match to set up Page vs. Christian for the pay-per-view, with the company heading into Sunday hyping a major WWF TV week with 7 shows in the next 6 nights of WWF programming, including 2 TV specials with a WrestleMania flashback show tomorrow on TNN and a Divas special on UPN Wednesday night, followed by the regularly scheduled programming with SmackDown Tough Enough XS and Heat heading into WrestleMania, with the company going all out with marketing the event to the wide audience based on the attraction of the Rock vs. Hogan Dream match, with JR on his weekly report noting that the company are doing the most aggressive marketing campaign in its history for the pay-per-view, with Rock and Hogan with massive pressure to deliver a performance that would match the all-time high expectations, reportedly in a gym in Florida on Friday, along with Pat Patterson going over the planned layout for the match with the key sequences while leaving room for on-the-spot adjustments based on the crowd reaction in the stadium, with Hogan, who is set to work his first televised singles match in almost 2 years since wrestling Jeff Jarrett for the WCW title on a Nitro broadcast in June 2000. Is going into the match with another potential obstacle after suffering a rib injury during his WWF in-ring return against Rikishi on the house show in Tampa on March 1, with Raw next seeing the payoff of the 2-show-long angles, first with Jericho taking out Hunter with a sledgehammer shot to re-injure his leg, followed by the board of directors' decision, with Vince being given full authority on the company, with a review of the decision set for immediately following WrestleMania after Flair decided to go through with the Taker match, and with all 5 participants being kept off TV throughout the night on the way to the main event. The nWo were shown for the first time at 10:47 p.m. with the match coming up next. Rock made his return to Raw to a massive ovation from the Joe Louis Arena for the first time since setting up the Hogan match on February 18 to kick off the entrances to the main event at 10:52 p.m., with the match hyped over the weekend and throughout the night as the biggest main event in Raw history and perhaps the biggest star power matchup ever seen on wrestling television, with the 3 biggest stars in industry history and the most influential tag team in its biggest ever boom period all in the same ring, with the historically significant milestones of it coming from every angle, with the first time ever Hogan, Rock and Austin are working in the same match in any combination between the 3, along with it being the first ever nWo match on WWF television and the first televised match in the company in general for Hogan and Nash in 6 to 9 years, jumping over a million viewers to a show-high 5 rating in the final quarter before gaining further to a peak 5.2 rating in the 7-minute overrun, with the company looking to close the road to WrestleMania on Raw, with the hype at its peak giving away the mega main event in a dream scenario that during the peak of the Monday Night Tours would have shattered any pay-per-view record in history, with the crowd reactions to the historic display of star power and the different combinations in the ring as intriguing as the match itself, with the crowd generally pro Rock and Austin but with the nWo as they did since their debut getting a big mixed reaction including big babyface pops for the key spots with the biggest one coming for Hogan tagging in to enter the match to a massive ovation, along with Nash returning in front of an hometown crowd in Detroit, and with one of the biggest questions when the announcement for the match was made being who was taking the fall for the finish. Hogan and Rock were alone in the ring to set up the final sequence ending with the surprise finish of Hogan pinning Rock clean with the leg drop as the WrestleMania preview, closing the show with the nWo standing tall over Rock and Austin in the ring as the final image 6 days to what is targeted to be the biggest money event in company history.